The rumor hit the internet like a lightning strike. Jamie Dornan, beloved actor and devoted family man, was allegedly involved in a secret affair. At first, fans brushed it off as another baseless headline, but the story grew too quickly, too loudly, and from too many directions to ignore. A mysterious insider claimed to have proof, sending social media into a frenzy. Questions flooded every platform, and speculation spiraled out of control. By the end of the day, the rumor had become a storm. For months before the scandal broke, people had noticed subtle changes in Jamie's demeanor. He appeared withdrawn in interviews, quieter on red carpets, and strangely disconnected in behind-the-scenes clips. His smile seemed thinner, his eyes more distant, as if something heavy was dragging behind him. Fans wondered if he was simply tired or overwhelmed by work. No one imagined they were watching the early cracks in his marriage. Amelia Warner, usually poised and serene, added fuel to the fire when she appeared at an event alone. She wore no wedding ring, and although she tried to smile, something in her expression felt strained, tight around the eyes, weighed down by what she wasn't saying. Reporters immediately noticed. Within hours, photos of her looking isolated and tense spread across the internet with captions like, "Trouble at home," and "Amelia's silent cry for help." Rumors of divorce began swirling faster than the affair allegations themselves. Sources claimed Jamie and Amelia had been living separately for weeks, though nothing had been confirmed. Jamie's conspicuous silence only intensified the speculation. He offered no denial, no clarification, not even a cryptic social media post to calm the flames. To fans, his silence looked suspicious. To tabloids, it looked like confirmation. And to Amelia, it looked like betrayal. The turning point came when the alleged other woman entered the narrative. No name was revealed, only hints. Someone Jamie had worked with. Someone he had shared undeniable chemistry with. Someone whose presence, apparently, had changed him. The vagueness made everything worse. The more people guessed, the more relationships and reputations were dragged into the storm. Past co-stars, production assistants, even friends were suddenly suspects in a mystery with no facts, only fear and fascination. Amelia's world collapsed quietly, without public outbursts or dramatic statements. She had endured rumors before, but this time felt different. There were moments she had noticed Jamie's distance, nights he came home later than usual, conversations that ended too quickly. She never imagined they would lead to accusations of infidelity. In her silence, the public projected their own conclusions. Was she hurt? Was she angry? Was she preparing to leave him? Inside their home, tension thickened with every passing day. Jamie moved like a man carrying shame he couldn't express. Amelia moved like a woman searching for answers she wasn't sure she wanted to hear. Their conversations became shorter, frostier, fragmented into half-sentences that always stopped before reaching the truth. Even their children sensed the shift, an unfamiliar quiet settling over the house that once felt warm. The pressure finally pushed Amelia to act. Surrounded by speculation, pushed by endless headlines, and haunted by the possibility that the rumors might contain some truth, she prepared a brief statement for the press. Her voice shook slightly as she said, "There are things happening privately that we are trying to navigate as a family." It was vague, but devastating. She could have denied everything. She didn't, and that choice echoed louder than any accusation. Immediately, journalists and fans began dissecting her words. Had she discovered something? Was Jamie hiding more than the public knew? Why hadn't he defended her, defended their marriage, defended himself? Amelia's trembling voice replayed across television screens and social feeds, fueling theories about broken trust and emotional abandonment. The story had moved beyond rumor. It had become a crisis. By the end of the week, one thing was clear. Amelia was not just hurt, she was shaken. Jamie was not just silent, he was drowning in the consequences of that silence. And their marriage, once described as one of Hollywood's most grounded partnerships, now stood on the edge of an emotional cliff. The world wanted answers. Amelia wanted truth. And Jamie, caught between guilt, fear, and confusion, seemed on the verge of losing everything. As the storm intensified, Amelia found herself confronting questions she never imagined she would have to ask. She wanted to believe Jamie, wanted to trust the man she had built a life with, but the silence between them had grown into a void too large to ignore. The rumors didn't hurt her as much as Jamie's emotional distance did. When she looked at him now, she saw someone wounded, conflicted, and unrecognizable. It terrified her more than the idea of another woman ever could. Behind closed doors, Jamie struggled to explain himself. He wasn't guilty of the affair the tabloids screamed about, but he was guilty of disappearing emotionally long before the rumors emerged. He admitted he had shut down under the weight of fame, responsibility, and internal battles he couldn't articulate. He apologized for withdrawing, for letting fear dictate his behavior, for creating the space where suspicion could grow. But apologies couldn't erase the months of doubt Amelia had endured. Their conversations turned into painful negotiations of truth and trust. Amelia needed clarity, and Jamie needed forgiveness, yet neither could offer the other what they were asking for, not fully. Jamie insisted there was no secret affair, no betrayal of the kind the public imagined. Amelia believed him, but believing him didn't dissolve the ache in her chest. "You weren't unfaithful to me with someone else," she whispered one night, "but you were unfaithful to us with your silence." That sentence broke Jamie in a way the accusations never could. He realized that the real threat to their marriage wasn't a rumor. It was the emotional distance he had manufactured in an attempt to shield everyone from his inner turmoil. His intentions had been misguided, but his impact was undeniable. Amelia had been living beside a man who felt like a stranger, and the loneliness of that reality had cut deeper than any fabricated scandal. Although the identity of the so-called other woman remained a mystery, Amelia finally addressed the issue with quiet strength. She revealed that she had found something, a message, a moment, suggestive but not definitive. It was ambiguous enough to spark fear, but not clear enough to prove betrayal. Jamie explained it as a misunderstanding, something taken out of context, but the damage had already been done. The seed of doubt had been planted long before the proof ever appeared. In an unexpected twist, Jamie confessed that the real truth behind his behavior had nothing to do with infidelity. He spoke about emotional burnout, overwhelming pressure, and a growing sense of inadequacy he didn't know how to escape. He admitted that he had wanted to disappear, not from Amelia, but from the version of himself he felt trapped in. His silence, he now understood, had been a form of self-protection that unintentionally tore his marriage apart. Amelia listened, tears in her eyes, torn between compassion and heartbreak. She saw the man she loved suffering, but she also saw the cost of his inability to communicate. She had spent years trying to interpret his moods, trying to understand his distance, trying to carry the emotional weight he hid from the world. "I can forgive mistakes," she said quietly, "but I don't know how to forgive feeling invisible." Jamie had no answer, only regret. Their final confrontation came late one night, the house silent except for the trembling breaths between them. Jamie reached for Amelia's hand, but she hesitated before allowing him to hold her. She told him she wasn't leaving, not yet, but she needed time, space, clarity. She needed to rebuild trust that had been eroded slowly, not suddenly. Jamie nodded, accepting her terms with the humility of a man who understood he was standing on borrowed time. The world continued to speculate, unaware of the quiet devastation happening inside their home. Divorce rumors grew louder with every paparazzi photo showing Amelia alone or Jamie looking exhausted. But inside those moments was a deeper truth. They were not fighting each other. They were fighting the silence that had nearly destroyed them. Whether their marriage would survive was still uncertain, but one thing was undeniable. Both of them had reached a breaking point. In the end, Amelia walked out of the room with tears still glistening, leaving Jamie seated alone in the dim light of their living room. He watched her go, knowing he might have just experienced the most significant crossroads of his life. If he didn't change, truly change, he could lose everything he ever cared about. The final question lingered in the air like a haunting echo. Is this the beginning of the end, or the moment Jamie Dornan finally wakes up before it's too late?